We got, and we'll be out to Jeremiah.
Jan, I'd
For the-
like it.
Okay, we're gonna make it okay.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah. And we can have, maybe more
Keep the tax dollars and people in
Yeah,
retired
yeah.
box owners and
Welcome, Board. We're in our soup and salad. Dean, it's nice to see you, even though we're jealous because you're in St. George. Barb, welcome, Barb. It's nice to see you as well. And with that, I'm going to, we have a few items that we need to discuss during the soup and salad. I'm sorry, new.
Craig Pitts.
Craig Pitts. Did you write a book?
That would be Dr. Paul Pitts.
Sorry, I need to.
Craig is a remarkable second grade teacher for us, and Brandon Baca is not able to be here tonight, and Craig is here in his place. So welcome, Craig. We'd love to have you here.
Welcome. With that, I'd like to turn the time over to Dr. Stevens to go ahead and start our information tonight.
Great, thanks, President. Welcome to everybody. And we're getting to that time of year that we need to just review some of the events that are coming up. Would need board members participating. We usually do something board for our retirees. Last year we weren't able to do that. This year we have 2 nights in order to try to keep some social distancing. We have 2 nights that will do that. One night will be for the certified employees who are retiring, and then one night for the classified employees who are retiring. And Pam will get you those dates and invitation on that. Then our great partner Tony Davino always hosts an evening where we honor those who have been nominated as Classified Employee of the Year and Teacher of the Year. And we have that date, we'll get that to you as well. We'll do that in one night. Tony is always so gracious to sponsor that. The other thing that I've invited our Executive Director of Secondary Education, Gina Butters, to is to start talking about our high school graduation. We have told our folks that we are going to do an in-person graduation, but there will have to be some modifications to it. Let me give just a little bit of background. Typically, we've gone up to Weber State and used the event center, and that is proving to be a little problematic this year for a couple of reasons. We've tried, they've been wonderful to work with. Weber State, right from the top, President Mortensen and I have had several conversations, and he has been so gracious. One challenge is right now the event center is a vaccination site, and the Department of Health is using that entire upper concourse area, which means nobody would have access to restrooms. You know, you'd have to enter through the portal. Everybody would come through one portal, and you couldn't go upstairs to use the restroom. That would be problematic. Then Weber State kind of cleared it where maybe we would be able to use it 1 week, but it was the week before our final week of school, and that is a challenge. It would be very problematic for high school to hold a graduation over a week before the end of school. Number one, it would become quite chaotic at the school for the rest of the school year. But number two, and maybe most important, we would miss some students. Our high school administrators and counselors are working with students right up to the very end to make sure they get all those graduation requirements fulfilled. And if we cut it off a week early or longer, we would lose first kids to graduation. And so anyway, Gina has done a remarkable job working with every one of our 6 high school principals, and I've just asked her to come and walk us through. And then, President, this might be a good time for you, after Gina's finished, to make some assignments for the board in terms of who's going to be speaking and accepting the classes, who's going to be attending, so that we communicate that information, and Pam can kind of keep a record of that.
So, prior to that, if I might, Dina,
Yeah.
Dr. Stevens, thank you very much. Do we have room for all board members to all graduations?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. The
Thank you.
schools are super excited. They want you involved.
Having said that, board, as we go through these dates, Dean, as you're away, Bruce is not on. He's out of pocket right now, but we'll get him in. Kind of think of where you would like to be and where you're at. We don't have last year's list, but hopefully you remember from last year where you were at and where you want to be this year. I'm just here to tell you I'm going to accept Fremont. Oh, I'm sorry, that was shouldn't have been called for. But I do have a grandson who's submitted his papers today to go serve the Lord, and he's our oldest at Fremont, so
Great.
I'd like to be that.
One other thing I'll mention to you, I indicated that, we're going to do an in-person graduation. But it's going to look different. We're not going to be able to just have a graduate bring the entire family. There will be a limit, and it will be, somewhere 4, maybe 5, and Gina will talk about that. But people need to understand that there's still some restrictions on large gatherings. So, yeah, we won't be shaking hands and those kind of things.
Is it gonna look at all like last year's out on the fields, because our kids loved it?
It's such a great question, Janice. And one thing that is ironic a little bit, as much pushback as we had last spring about a virtual graduation, that was in high demand for this year. So we've allocated a budget to each of our high schools to develop a virtual graduation, and that will happen. It won't happen at the same simultaneous of the in-person graduation, but some of the speakers will actually be on the virtual graduation and so forth. So I'm going to have Gina just walk us through
Great. Well,
those
great.
graduations.
I appreciate being here, great board, and hope you're all doing well. You look well. I gave you a little handout, and so hopefully you can take that away. But first of all, I just wanted to show you up front what dates and times and locations have been scheduled for each of the 6 high schools. So our 4 traditional high schools have all decided that they want to hold their ceremony, their formal ceremony on their football fields. And you know how beautiful they are, and that speaks, Janice, to what you're talking about. But they're super excited for that because think of the unique year, think of that unique setting. We're just going to keep our fingers crossed for perfect weather. That's going to be the tricky part. And then our non-traditional high schools, Two Rivers, Weaver Innovation, and then of course Adult Ed, they've got a little bit of a different plan. They're going to stick with the plan that they followed last year, and you can see the dates there, but their populations absolutely loved. And parents, guests, and especially the graduates enjoyed more of a walk-through or drive-through experience. And so Weaver Innovation is going to hold theirs up at Weaver High in the auditorium, but Two Rivers and Adult Ed will have more of that walk-through, drive-through feel. So we're going to get quite a smattering of options here, experiences. So come dressed for every occasion is kind of what I think we all need to plan on. Just a few of the details that we have hammered out. Like I said, we will have the 4 traditional high school graduations on the football fields. And like Dr. Stevens indicated, Weaver State has just been fabulous, but all 6 principals just felt that was too soon. It would just be too tough to pull that off. Plus, we'd be somewhat limited in how many guests we could invite. So that factored mightily into the decision to host at the schools. We're looking at 4 to 6 guests per graduate, and they're right now marking off their stadiums and really examining and trying to figure out seating that would need to be brought in. It's going to be challenging. Fremont has our largest graduating class and probably the least amount of seating. So we're working on bringing in a lot of bleachers, metal bleachers, a lot of chairs, and trying to round up things like that to make that happen. And so that's kind of a challenge we're facing right now, but we're going to pull it off. The other part of that is, and I talked to Dr. Stevens about it, wouldn't it be nice if at least the parents could have more of a preferential seating kind of an arrangement? So maybe we give, if we have 4 tickets or up to 6 tickets, 2 or 3 of those tickets could be more of a preferred seating where the parents can really see the face of their graduates. So we're working on that piece. Graduates will be on the football field seated, and we'll have a podium and a staging area. There might be seating around the track. We're going to have to get somewhat creative. We are thinking right now that we're going to use the length of the football field so we can have more of an aerial view from the fans of the guests, that they can see the podium and see the graduates. So that's kind of in the works, and that poses a bit of a challenge trying to figure out seating. The ceremony itself will be shortened. It will be condensed. We're shooting for about an hour each, and I know that we say that every year and it tends to leak over a little bit, but we really are going to try to stick to an hour. And so the principal will be giving a very unique celebratory message for the pandemic year. We're going to reduce the number of student speakers somewhat, just to try to shorten things up.
Tina,
Yes.
not to interrupt, but one
Yeah.
question.
Yes, sir.
Because we want to stay short, the question would be asked as board members,
Yeah.
so we don't integrate it into our speech and make it any longer than we have to.
Sure.
Do you anticipate touching on the struggles that have happened, and then we just reiterate what has happened? I don't want to go,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? We could go on and on. Hey, the pandemic is drawn out. You know, you've been through a lot of things. You've done it, the principal done it. And now for me to do that, this being
I think it's a great question.
It is.
I think there's no question that the principal is going to talk to the graduates about what they have gone through as a senior class
Yeah.
during this pandemic year. So, in the spirit of a condensed meeting, I would say that, remarks would be brief, and then the acceptance of the class.
Yeah. But they're so excited that you're wanting to take part. That just fills it out. So, like I said, speakers will be a little less numerous. We'll have a smaller choir, maybe a couple of less musical numbers, and then if you look if you're following any of this, if you look at the back of your page, principals are absolutely in love with the idea of you being in attendance and following the protocols that you follow. Okay, so we're excited about that. All participants will be in masks. There will be, like Dr. Stevens said, no congratulatory line. There will be a processional. We want this to be very celebratory. We want to feature the kids, and so we will have some sort of an entrance and an exit strategy for them where they can be featured and up in front of their guests and their parents and family. We probably will not be bringing them up individually and be recognizing them and their name is read. We'll probably have them stand in place, so that will help things move along a little bit more quickly. And then they'll pick up their diploma at an alphabetical station as they leave the stadium. Okay? Couple of other things just to kind of think about. If there's inclement weather, which is always a possibility in late May, what we're thinking is that we will just try to bump it to the next day if possible and keep the time consistent, so that in case we have any out-of-town guests, at least the burden is not, we're not going to push it back 2 or 3 days or a week through the weekend. So that's our goal. But we're going to need lots of prayers, I think, around the weather. Okay. We've got a lot more details that we'll share with you later if you want to hear them, but we're super excited. I think we have this could possibly be one of the most memorable, beautiful ceremonies in each of our schools that we've had. I'm super excited. As an ex-principal, I would have loved to have had
And I'd
this.
say also, Gina, that as far as board members responding to constituents, yeah, it is a condensed in person, but that's not the full graduation. There will be that virtual graduation that is a part of it. So when you combine the in-person, even though it's a condensed graduation, with the virtual graduation piece, we're recognizing these kids.
The good news about the virtual, and I love this idea that the principals came up with, they're going to recognize every senior in the virtual piece, regardless of that they're graduating. And as I'm looking at preliminary data around seniors and who's off track, I am so, it almost moved me to tears when I looked at the data the other day. We have pulled a lot of kids, struggling kids, to the point where they're going to have a chance to graduate, far more than I thought. We're super excited about that, and that speaks to the hard work of our teachers and advocates and all of our principals and administrators. But what we'd like to put in the virtual piece too, just as an FYI, is the teachers are talking in some of our buildings about wanting to create some sort of a celebratory message to the class of 2021 as well. So they might be featured a little bit in some of the video recording. So it's going to look a little different than last year. It'll be fun.
Does anybody have a question on a specific graduation or graduations in general that you want to ask Gina?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say, from having watched what all of you had to go through last year to make it as good as it was, and to hear what you're having to do now, thank you. Thank you for these kids, but I know not easy.
Yeah, no, it is
So
a heavy
complex.
lift. It's a heavy lift, but it's something our principals are really looking forward to. So appreciate that.
I was gonna say, it's very helpful to have those turf fields.
Yep.
Because the chairs won't sink, everything will be uniform, they're
Yep.
colorful too.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
kinda cool.
Absolutely. You'll notice a couple of the times, I hope I'm not going too long here, Dr. Stevens, you'll notice a couple of the times are earlier in the day. And I know that we talked about maybe that upsetting a few folks just in case they needed to take time off from work, but some of our fields get so hot as the day goes on. Plus we've got a mosquito problem out west that could get problematic. We'll be handing out sanitizer and spray for Paul, yeah. But so that's the reason for some of the unique times.
Gina, concerns about shoes specific?
Yeah, we'll have to address that. The stiletto heels are probably not going to work on the field. Yeah, so we'll address that with our graduates.
Thank you.
Hey Gina, the Two Rivers says it's from
And
10
Paul.
o'clock until 4 o'clock.
Yes, so that is more that drive-through process they had, Paul. So if you wanted to stop by at any time during that time, they're not going to have a formal ceremony. Yeah. Okay.
Your talk is for 3 hours.
So does that mean we can put you down for that?
I think we ought to,
I do too. We need
I think we need to start, so, John, if you just, yeah, just go through.
Bonneville will be Bruce, because I did the accepting last year.
Okay, so
Bruce to speak and
That's
accept.
Bruce is going to accept, and who's going to attend?
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
So just mark us all if you would, Pam. Fremont,
Wait, let's check Dean.
Dino.
Dean, do you want to attend Bonneville?
Sure, I'd like to.
Okay,
We also have to check with Bruce too, that's his school.
yeah, he's accepting, so.
Okay.
Fremont, I spoke with Paul, and he's good if I accept. So obviously I'll be there. Board members who would like to go.
As long as you remember to call them Fremont, not Weaver.
Fremont Royals. How about Roy High?
Wait, do we have everybody who's
Yeah,
attending?
everybody should. Everybody.
Okay, great.
I said, pick me for.
You want to do Roy?
I'd
Yes,
like to
please.
go to Fremont also.
Okay, that's what we thought. We seen your hand. So what about Roy, Dean?
Are they?
Roy's is.
I don't have the paper to look at, so.
We have two on Monday, May 24th. Roy's is at, let's go Weber High at 10:30 a.m. on the football field at Weber High on Monday the 24th. Roy High is that afternoon at 5 p.m.
Okay, sure.
Okay, very
I'll do
well.
that.
Very well. So Roy has Jan accepting, and I believe who can go, who would like to go? Everybody less Janice.
Doug is not,
Okay.
probably Bruce.
Bruce.
So you can go to any?
Yeah.
We can go to any?
You can go to all.
Okay, yeah.
Don't feel obligated, but you're welcome to all of them.
And And then Weber High is 10:30 on Monday morning. Who is going to accept Weber? Who did last year?
I did.
You did, Dino?
Janice.
So Janice?
We shared, sure, I'm fine too.
2 years ago, we shared.
Did we share, and then last year, Dean and I shared, so I'm happy to.
But solo is good?
I'd like to be there.
And then as am I. So Dino, you obviously would like to be there as well.
Yes, I would.
Is it too, maybe, I don't know if it's too soon, but next year I'll have a graduate from Weber High, so I'd like to accept next year.
Let's do that one as well.
So is Dean accepting Weaver?
No, Janice
Janice.
is accepting Weber.
We're in 2022.
Wick is the
You
27th.
have Two Rivers.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Rivers.
Now,
That's a
Gina,
drive-through.
how do you want us to, I don't know that the board would accept it, Two Rivers.
I did that last year, I did it virtually.
Maybe
Part of
that's
their
what we do
virtual.
this year, is do a virtual acceptance because of their drive-through.
I did that last year.
Okay,
I'll be happy to do that again if I can record it.
Okay, okay.
I think the virtual's the way to go.
okay.
And that way they can get it when they want.
Okay.
So just make note of that virtual is, or that acceptance is virtual.
And then we can.
And then I'd say everybody else, you can just stop by during that time if you wanna just,
Make your presence. If you can
Yeah.
just go in there and say hi, that would be awesome. And then Weber Innovations High School is Thursday the 27th again at 4 p.m. And this is at Weber High's auditorium inside. So the next two, I'm sorry, we'll stop right there, Wick. Anybody would like to have feelings about accepting out of the league? Bruce did that one last year, if I'm not mistaken.
He did.
Is there anybody who would like to accept the class for Weber Innovations?
I'll do it.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Dean. And again, anybody is welcome to attend that one at Weber High.
I'd like to go to that.
Okay? Jan? So put everybody down on that one as well, please. And then our last one is the adult ed, and that is Wednesday, so we're back a day, from 6 to 8 p.m. in the rear parking lot of that complex back there in the new building. So, is that a drive-through as well?
yeah,
Yes.
so I think that'd probably be another virtual acceptance.
I don't wanna hog that, but if I'm gonna record, I might as well record for both
If
of
we're
them
gonna,
at the same
I
time.
really hate to do this, but I think we're just gonna have Jan do that too.
That's awesome. I think that just eliminates a lot of stress. If we can get through on that one too, board.
Does that make sense? Why you record?
So that's probably, as far as board members, just stop by,
Who's
have
gonna,
the
who's
interest.
gonna accept
Stop
the
by.
property?
Pat, does that cover the needs that you need for admins and everybody? Would you be so kind as to get the acceptance to those that need that to accept?
What we'll do is in our May soup and salad,
It'll be no problem.
Pam will have that, and if there needs to be any adjustments to that, we can make those adjustments on Wednesday, May 5th. Okay?
Does that work? Or is everybody comfortable with that? Dean, you good? Everybody's good? I wanna make sure everybody.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I'd like to see the paper so I know what I've committed to.
We're gonna show you right now, but you're only gonna be able to see the white paper. I'm gonna put that.
Yeah, we'll,
Oh, it's out there?
Dean,
John, Gina said.
Gina's gonna email it to you. And then Pam will give you the assignments, which, so.
That's perfect. All right, thank you. Superintendent, do you have anything else?
I think that's all I have. So we've got a few minutes to, or just, we'll have some guests here tonight. Those administrators who are involved in moves who are being advanced, not those that are just moving and it's a lateral move. So I think we have 9 administrators who are being advanced.
They'll be here.
They'll be here with one
the caveat,
guest.
there you go.
With one guest. So we'll go through that process, and then as I introduce them and their position, we'll invite that person to come forward and just say something to the board, introduce themselves. So I think all 9 who are being advanced will be here tonight.
And with that, Jeff, the lead's gonna be just you, so just go ahead and do that, okay? Just take that, that'll be awesome. Thank you. Board, do we have any other discussions or anything that needs to come up? If not, we got a few minutes for a pit stop. Remember that at the end of the board meeting, we do have a need for a closed session. In between that closed session, if you'll just do me a favor and go out to the foyer and meet Jan.
I just wanted to talk to our people that are doing. You don't have to be there. I just said, I wanted, I always bring them away, that's always my, that's my tradition.
Hi. Very nice.
Can I attend closed session also?